She was still tangled up with her first love, so I just walked away. On Thanksgiving Day, I cooked a huge meal and waited for Nina to come home. She didn't even glance at the table, just started packing a suitcase. "I can't spend the holiday with you this year," she said coldly. I didn't say anything, just quietly started eating one of the crabs. That night, right on cue, her first love made a post on Instagram. It was a picture of him with his arm around Nina's shoulders, both of them smiling, a bright full moon hanging in the window behind them. The caption read, "Toasting the moon with my favorite person." I didn't bother with a hysterical phone call this time. I just calmly liked the post. Nina called, a hint of panic in her voice. "Don't overthink it. I promise I'll spend the next holiday with you." I paused for a few seconds, then let out a soft laugh without saying a word. "Next time?" "Oh, Nina." There wasn't going to be a next time. It was already after the holiday weekend when Nina came home. Normally, I would have been waiting in the little garden to greet her, but not this time. A text from her came through. "Where are you?" I was in the middle of lunch and casually replied, "At home, eating." A few minutes later, she walked in, dragging her suitcase behind her. "I'm starving," she said while kicking off her shoes. "Go make me a bowl of noodles with a sunny side-up egg." Any other time, I would have gone straight to the kitchen without a second thought. But now I just spoke calmly. "I already ate. You should just order some DoorDash." Nina shot me a look of annoyance, but she reined in her anger. "I know you're still mad about Thanksgiving, but can you not start with me right now?"
I'm seriously hungry.
I turned and smiled. "I'm not mad." She didn't believe me. Peter's all alone in the city, and it was Thanksgiving. I was just keeping him company, being a good host. "Yeah, I know," I replied flatly. Nina stared into my eyes, as if trying to see right through me. Then she lowered her gaze, trying to hide her irritation. "What's the point of this? I'm exhausted today, and I don't want to fight. Can you just be a little more mature?" I looked back at her and explained patiently, "I'm not fighting with you. Are you done? I'm going to do the dishes." Nina stared at me in silence for a moment, then pulled a watch out of her pocket and held it out. She looked down at me and said coolly, "A gift." The watch was completely unwrapped, a stark contrast to the beautifully wrapped box Peter had shown off in his post. I didn't show a flicker of excitement, just said politely, "Thanks." After that, I said nothing else. A flash of displeasure crossed Nina's face. "That's it?" she asked, annoyed. "That's it," I replied evenly. Her face turned grim. She held her hand out to me. "Where's mine?" It was only then that I remembered. "Oh, sorry, I forgot," I said apologetically. "I'll just Venmo you and you can buy yourself something." I picked up my phone and sent her 200. Nina's eyes widened, as if she couldn't believe I'd forgotten. After all, I was always the one who cared about our little traditions. Exchanging gifts on holidays and birthdays was our thing. For years, I was the one who kept it going. I always found new and creative gifts for her, even when she sometimes forgot to get me anything. The air grew thick with awkwardness. I went to the walk-in closet, changed my clothes, and headed for the door. "Where are you going?" Nina called out urgently. "Going to hang out with Mike," I said calmly. Then I closed the door, ignoring her calls from inside. After I got together with Nina, I'd canceled all my plans with my friends because she once said she didn't like me running around. It got to the point where Mike and my other buddies all thought I was a buzzkill. They knew I was on a tight leash at home and stopped inviting me out. Now, finally, I could actually hang out with Mike. As we were leaving, Mike complained, "I seriously thought you ditched your bros for your girl. Don't ever do that again. No girl is more important than your friends." I nodded in complete agreement. "From now on, if you guys are getting together and I'm free, I'm there. Count on it." After getting with Nina, my whole world started to revolve around her. My work, my life, everything was about her. I lost my own friends, my own circle. Thinking about it now, it was a really stupid choice. I glanced at my phone. Nina had declined the Venmo payment. It was 3 in the morning by the time I got home. I flipped on the lights and saw Nina sitting on the couch. For a second, I felt a wave of dizziness and wondered if I was seeing things. When she saw how drunk I was, she didn't come over to help me. Instead, She just gave me a look of pure disappointment. "Kevin, can you get a grip?" she said with disgust. "If you're jealous, just say it. A grown man getting wasted like this in the middle of the night. What's wrong with you?" My head was spinning. I steadied myself against the wall and stumbled over to the couch. Nina caught a whiff of the alcohol on me and wrinkled her nose. "Didn't I tell you I don't like those friends of yours? You went running around with them again? This isn't about what you think it is with Peter and me. We're just friends right now. You really don't need to get this drunk over him." I held my head in my hands and shot back, annoyed. "You've got it all wrong. I was just happy to be out with my friends and had a few too many." Seeing me like this, her voice turned sharp. "Enough. I'm giving you an out here. What more do you want? Don't push me. My patience has its limits. I'm not a saint who can put up with your crap forever." My head was throbbing, and her voice was only making it worse. I rubbed my temples. "Are you done? If you're done, I'm going to bed." Seeing this, Nina took a deep breath, reined in her temper, and stood up to help me. But with the last ounce of sobriety I had, I dodged her. I stumbled into the guest room, locked the door behind me, and completely ignored the sound of Nina knocking. That night, I fell into a deep sleep, and it was the most peaceful I'd felt in a long time. When I woke up the next morning, Nina was sitting on the living room couch without a word. Her face was terrifyingly dark. I knew she was furious, but I didn't try to smooth things over. I just got ready and left. I went to the dance company and handed in my resignation. I'd taken the job here because it was close to home, which made it easier to take care of Nina. But there was no need for that anymore. The director of the company tried several times to get me to stay, but I firmly refused. Just last week, I'd gotten a response to the applications I'd sent overseas. I'd been accepted. Joining that company had been my dream since I was a kid. I'd given it up for Nina back then, but luckily, it wasn't too late to chase it now. After quitting, I started handing off my remaining work and called Mike to tell him the good news. Mike was thrilled for me, but after a moment of silence, he asked, "So what about Nina? Does she know you're moving abroad?" I laughed softly. "No, she doesn't need to know. I'm going alone this time." Once everything was settled at the company, I started getting my documents ready for the move. My parents are divorced, and besides a few buddies I grew up with, Nina was all I had here. I used to think that wherever Nina was, that was my home. But now I don't have a home anymore. I feel like a piece of driftwood, just floating wherever the current takes me. When I got home later, Nina was getting ready to go out. She was wearing an elegant dress and an expensive necklace that made her look powerful. I saw the birthday cake in her hand and knew immediately. Today was Peter's birthday. She was on her way to celebrate with him. She was on the phone, her voice full of excitement. Okay, stop guessing. It wouldn't be a surprise if I told you what the gift was. Just wait for me to get there." I don't know what the person on the other end said, but it made Nina giggle, revealing her dimples. A simple smile from her, something that had become so rare for me. She kept smiling until she saw me. Then, the smile vanished from her lips. Nina would give Peter anything he wanted, yet she couldn't even spare me a single smile. Her expression instantly darkened. She didn't say another word to me, just looked away in disgust. She quickly changed her shoes, and the last thing I heard was the sound of the door slamming shut. I knew what this meant. Nina was going to give me the silent treatment again. We'd done this Cold War thing before, and every single time it was because of Peter. Whenever it happened, I would be a mess, trying everything I could to win her back. Even if she ignored all my texts, I'd practically beg for her attention. But this time I just went online, looked up a few foreign recipes, and started practicing in the kitchen. I figured I should start getting used to it. Lying in bed later, I saw Peter's new social media post. "You got me a birthday gift again this year. Thanks for always being by my side." In the comments, Nina's best friend had written, "So touching. Seeing Peter happy makes me happy." I looked at the likes. All of Nina's friends, guys and girls, had liked Peter's post. Nina's friends never liked me. They thought I was the one who got in the way of her and Peter. That without me, Nina would be so much happier. Seeing Nina's comment on the post, I couldn't help but think her friends were right. Nina had written, "Happy birthday to the most important person in my life." I stared blankly at their dramatic exchange. Another one of Nina's friends commented, "Delete this before Kevin sees it. You know how he is, he'll probably throw a huge fit." I used to gently remind Nina to keep her distance from Peter. After all, he was a guy, and it was best to avoid any misunderstandings. But her friends would call me petty and controlling, saying I wouldn't even let her have basic friendships. And Nina would just go along with them, telling me that as a man, I needed to be more generous. I didn't do what her friend expected. I just quietly closed the app, started scrolling through TikTok, and fell asleep. I was already fast asleep when Nina came home. She shook me awake, annoyed. "Kevin," she yelled, "your girlfriend is out late, and you don't even care enough to check on her? My friend's boyfriend calls her constantly, but you? Not a single call. What is wrong with you?" I looked at her, confused, with no idea why she was so angry. I used to do that, and she would say, "I'm in a relationship with you, not in jail. Please, give me some space. I can't breathe." Now that I was giving her space, she was mad that I wasn't checking up on her. I had no idea what she wanted anymore. But I didn't bring up the past. I just said calmly, "You were out with friends. It would have been weird for me to keep calling. You and Peter are friends, I trust you guys." A look of disbelief flashed in Nina's eyes. She was probably shocked that I could mention Peter's name so calmly. Then, a look of understanding crossed her face. "That social media post was just for old time's sake," she explained. "It didn't mean anything else. Don't overthink it." I shook my head, about to speak, but she cut me off. "What is it? Are you saying I shouldn't have gone to Peter's birthday party? We've known each other for 10 years. We dated for a little while, but now we're just really good friends. It's my good friend's birthday. Of course I had to be there." I looked at her with understanding. "I know. It's late. You should go get some rest." Nina fell silent. She stared at me, as if trying to confirm that I really wasn't angry. After a long moment, she couldn't find the answer on my face. She reached out to wrap her arms around my waist, but I silently sidestepped her. "The master bedroom or the guest room?" I asked coolly. Surprise flickered in her eyes. I had actually rejected her touch, something I used to beg for. Humiliated, Nina slammed the guest room door shut and went into the master bedroom. As soon as she was gone, I was asleep. Ever since I cleared my head of everything, even falling asleep had become so much easier. The next morning, the director of the dance company called me. She'd somehow found out I was moving abroad. She said she wanted to throw me a going-away party. I quickly declined, so she let it go. Then she said she was getting a group together from the company for one last get-together. She'd put it in a way that I couldn't refuse. What I didn't expect was that Nina would be there that evening. But it made sense, I guess. She was the director's niece. And right next to Nina was Peter. I couldn't believe she'd bring him to a work gathering like this. When Nina saw me, she glanced my way, signaling for me to come sit with her. But I pretended not to notice. They looked like such a perfect couple. I wasn't about to go over and interrupt. When Peter saw me, he shot me a smug, challenging smile. Then he wiped it off his face and said apologetically, "Hey, man, sorry for crashing your work party. I was just so bored that Nina decided to bring me along." Nina opened her mouth a few times, wanting to explain, but the words never came out. I politely raised my glass. "It's fine. I don't mind." I took a sip of my drink. During dinner, my phone kept buzzing. I pulled it out to check. It was a series of texts from Nina. "I only brought him because it was convenient. Don't overthink it. If it bothers you, I won't bring him next time." I scrolled down to the last message. "Let's go home together after dinner." I cleared my throat and typed back, "No thanks. You should take Peter home." I drove. Then I went back to my meal, ignoring any more messages from her. The dinner was full of good conversation, with everyone reminiscing about the old days. The director had a little too much to drink, her face flushed. She stood up at the table, raised her glass to me, and said loudly, "I remember when you were the best dancer in the country. Your dream was always to go abroad and join the best company. But then for some reason you suddenly decided to stay here. She paused, then continued, but now, thank God, you're finally going. You're finally going to achieve your dream, and I'm so happy for you. Here, let me toast to you. I wish you all the best and a bright future ahead. I smiled, feeling a wave of nostalgia, and raised my glass, downing it in one go. At that moment, Nina's face was frozen in shock, as if she'd just heard something unbelievable. Auntie, what did you just say? What do you mean, going abroad? Nina's words were sharp and clear. The director answered patiently, you didn't know? Kevin's moving abroad. If all goes well, this will be our last dinner with him. It'll be hard to see him again after this. The director didn't know about my relationship with Nina, so she wasn't surprised that Nina was out of the loop. Hearing this, Nina's eyes turned red. She jumped up, grabbed my arm, and dragged me outside. I stood against the wall, silently facing her. She was the first to speak. Moving abroad? What are you talking about? Why didn't you discuss this with me? Why didn't you tell me? Her voice trembled. Her eyes filled with disbelief and fear. I finally responded. Oh, that. When I got the news you were at Disneyland with Peter. I didn't want to bother you. My voice was distant and polite, instantly creating a chasm between us. Hearing this, Nina looked embarrassed, but she grabbed my hand. No matter what, I'm your girlfriend. You should share these things with me. I nodded in mock surprise. I used to tell Nina every single detail of my life. She'd always say impatiently, I'm not interested in your life. Stop sending me this useless stuff and clogging up my phone. Nina let out a barely audible sigh. After a long silence, she asked, how long will you be gone? I thought about it and decided to lie. Probably 2 or 3 years. I never planned on her finding out anyway. Tonight was just an accident. That long? Nina exclaimed, stunned. I looked down, confirming it. The atmosphere grew tense. Suddenly, Nina sighed. She looked at me and said, let's go home together later. She said it with a hopeful glimmer in her eyes, waiting for my answer. Just as I was about to say no, Peter stumbled out of the private room. He looked at Nina with hazy eyes, so drunk he had to lean against her for support. Nina shot a nervous glance at me, trying to push Peter away, but he was like a dead weight. Peter's drunk, she explained frantically. We never touch each other like this, I swear. It wouldn't have been a big deal, but her explanation just made it seem more suspicious. I nodded understandingly. Yeah, I know. Peter slurred, Nina, my head's spinning. Can you take me home? His boozy breath washed over her neck. Nina didn't flinch, just showed a hint of resignation. She'd always told me she hated the smell of alcohol, but I guess it didn't matter if it was Peter. She didn't answer him, looking at me instead. Wait for me, okay? I'll call him an Uber, and then we can go home together. How does that sound? Before I could reply, Peter whined again in her arms. He rubbed his head against her affectionately, a movement that looked incredibly practiced. Seeing that, I said calmly, don't worry about it. He seems to need you more. I can get home by myself. Nina looked like she wanted to say something else, but I stood up, said my goodbyes to the others, and walked out of the restaurant. Nina tried to follow me, but Peter clung to her, refusing to let go. I called an Uber to take me home. I'd had a few drinks tonight, and my head was starting to feel fuzzy. Sitting in the back seat, I watched the city lights blur past the window. A few tears escaped, rolling down my cheeks. It was almost funny. I couldn't count the number of times Nina had ditched me for Peter. After a while, I guess I just got used to it. I saw a couple walking hand in hand down the street, and it suddenly reminded me of how Nina and I used to be like that. As the car drove on, the image of the couple grew fainter, and my memories of Nina and me started to blur as well. After I got home, a text from Nina came in, checking in with me. I just got Peter home. He keeps throwing up, so I probably can't make it back tonight. I stared at the screen, lost in thought. As far as I could remember, this was the first time Nina had ever checked in with me like this. In the past, if I even asked who was at a party she was going to, she'd accuse me of starting trouble. Do I have to report every little thing I do to you? Doesn't a relationship like that just exhaust you? It took me a long time to calm her down after that, and she made it very clear that I was not to interfere in her life. I replied to Nina with a simple, okay. She quickly texted back, trying to explain again. It's really just because he keeps throwing up, and it's so late now. That's the only reason I'm staying over. Please don't overthink it. I replied with another detached, okay. After that, she didn't message me again. That night, I was the one in the bathroom, throwing up repeatedly. It wasn't just Peter who had gotten drunk at the party. I was used to drinking beer, but I'd had just a little hard liquor tonight and it hit me hard. I was sick until the early hours of the morning before I finally crawled back into bed. I tossed and turned all night, and by morning, I had dark circles under my eyes. It was around noon when Nina came home. I was eating a bowl of soup I had just ordered. In the past, if I ordered takeout, Nina would have scolded me for eating junk food. But today, she actually came over to the table. Does it taste good? I looked at her, surprised, and nodded. She sat down across from me and looked me in the eye. You have no idea how much work it is to take care of a drunk person. The second he sobered up, I rushed straight home. Her voice was laced with guilt, but I didn't call her out on it. That must have been tough for you, I said calmly. A flicker of unease crossed Nina's face. She hadn't expected me to be so compliant. The smile on her lips was stiff. My friend Tina and her boyfriend are having their engagement party tomorrow. She invited me. You should come with me. I looked up, surprised. In the past, Nina would never have taken me to an event like this. Her friends didn't like me, so she always took Peter instead. Before, I would have jumped at the chance and started picking out a suit. But now, I just kept eating my soup expressionlessly. I'd better not. I don't want to make things awkward for your friends. Hearing this, Nina's smile faltered. The hand she had extended toward me froze in mid-air. She awkwardly pulled it back. You're my boyfriend, she promised. She won't be rude to you. I looked up at her. She actually looked serious when she said it. I remember a time when her friends were putting me down, saying I couldn't compare to Peter in any way. I shot Nina a desperate look, begging for help. She just ignored me. When I confronted her about it later, she said, well, they weren't wrong. You're my boyfriend, and you can't even get my friends to like you? That's pretty pathetic. But she knew perfectly well that how her friends treated me depended entirely on how she treated me. I gathered up my empty takeout container. I'm busy tomorrow, I said. Why don't you ask someone else? Nina stared at me in disbelief. She never thought I would turn her down so bluntly or suggest she take someone else. I used to beg for opportunities like this, but I wasn't lying. I really was busy tomorrow. I still had a lot of paperwork to finish for my move. The hope in her eyes faded, and her smile disappeared completely. What are you doing tomorrow? She asked nervously. Maybe I can go with you. Oh, I have to go take care of my immigration paperwork, I explained calmly. I really can't get away. It's your friend's engagement, you should be there for her. I'll be fine on my own. Hearing this, she looked at me and asked tentatively, if you're not going, should I take Peter? In the past, just hearing Peter's name would have set me off. But now I just smiled. Sure. She searched my face for any sign of jealousy, but couldn't find one. Kevin, why aren't you jealous at all? She couldn't help but ask. I looked at her, thinking how strange she was. Didn't she used to hate it when I got jealous? But I just said, what's there to be jealous about? He's your good friend, and he gets along with your other friends. It makes sense for you to take him, right? She opened her mouth to say something several times but never did. Finally, she said one thing. Then let me drive you to your appointment tomorrow morning. I thought about it for a second and didn't refuse. My head still felt fuzzy, and I didn't want to drive. Having someone drive me didn't sound so bad. When Nina saw that I agreed, she reached for my hand, but I pulled away. She looked at me with a mix of confusion and annoyance. I didn't sleep well last night either, I explained. I'm going to take a nap. You should get some rest too. Without waiting for her reaction, I opened the bedroom door and went inside. The next morning, Nina was up early and had breakfast ready. After we ate, she grabbed her car keys to drive me. Sitting in her passenger seat felt strange. It had been so long since I'd been in Nina's car. I remember one time it was raining, and I didn't have an umbrella. I asked if she could pick me up, and she said with a frown, "You're an independent adult. Don't always rely on a woman. What's wrong with getting a little wet?" Later, I saw from Peter's social media that she had gone to pick him up that day. After that, I bought my own car, so there was never another reason to ride in hers. As Nina drove, she put on music I liked, trying to make small talk so I wouldn't be bored. I just smiled and went along with it. We hadn't been driving for long when Peter's call came through. Nina's expression turned frantic. She kept glancing at me nervously. "Go ahead, answer it," I said calmly. Peter's voice filled the car. "Nina, I'm all ready. You can come pick me up now." "You should just call a cab," Nina said quickly. I was surprised to hear that. Nina actually turning Peter down? Never thought I'd see the day. Peter hadn't expected her to refuse either, but he didn't give up. "Come on, Nina, you know how it is. It's impossible to get a cab way out here. Besides, you've always picked me up before." Peter pressed on. "If you don't come get me, I'll have to walk." A flicker of hesitation crossed Nina's face. In the past, I would have been kicked out of the car by now. Every time Peter called, she'd say to me, "It's easy to get a cab downtown where we are. It's harder out where Peter lives. I have to go get him. You can just grab a taxi." I saw her hesitation and made it easy for her. "Go pick him up. You can just drop me off at the next corner." "But what about you?" she said, flustered. "No, forget it. I'll take you first." I smiled, completely at ease. "I can get a cab, it's fine. Go on, you can just pull over here." I pointed to the side of the road ahead. Nina hesitated for a moment, but she pulled over. As I got out of the car, she said, "I'll be home early tonight." I nodded. She looked at me worriedly. "Are you sure you can get a cab here? If not, I won't go get him." I looked up at her and urged her on. "It's fine, you should go. You don't want to be late, that would be rude." Nina's car sped off, leaving a trail of exhaust behind. I went and took care of my paperwork. Looking at the date on my phone, I counted on my fingers. 5 more days and I'd be leaving the country. Back home, I was scrolling through TikTok when I saw a video from the engagement party. Tina and her boyfriend were sharing a deep kiss while the people around them started teasing Nina and Peter. Tina laughed and said to Nina, "Girl, you need to lock it down too. A great guy is right here beside you. You better not let him get away." As she said it, she glanced over at Peter, who blushed, looking embarrassed. But in the video, Nina just looked distracted and uneasy. Just then, a message from Nina popped up on my phone. "Kevin, did you see that video? They were just messing around. It was a joke. Don't be mad." I replied, "I saw it. It's just a joke. I'm not mad." After that, Nina didn't reply, nor did she come home early. I didn't wait up for her. I just ate dinner and went to bed. It was almost noon the next day when Nina came back. I didn't ask where she'd been, just said from the couch I didn't cook. "If you're hungry, order something." Nina was changing her shoes in the entryway as she explained. "Everyone was having so much fun yesterday. They wouldn't let me leave, so I just slept at the hotel." Nina used to stay out all night often, but she had never once explained herself to me. I just grunted in acknowledgement and went back to watching TV. After changing her shoes, Nina sat down on the couch, pinching the bridge of her nose. "When are you planning on leaving?" "Next Monday," I said. "Already bought the ticket." After I said that, the air froze. Nina was the one to break the silence. "Kevin," she said, her voice rising with emotion, "I think we need to have a serious talk. I can't stand us being like this anymore." I looked at her, confused. "What's wrong? Is there a problem?" Nina was always telling me to be more mature. Now that she wasn't happy? She frowned. "Is this because of Peter?" I didn't say anything. She bit her lip and continued, "If my relationship with Peter bothers you, I can cut him off. For you. But please, can you just stop being so indifferent? Please?" Her eyes were pleading, filled with a desperate hope, as if she'd just made the biggest decision of her life. I spoke slowly. "You're overthinking it. I really don't mind anymore. Who you're friends with is your business. I have no right to interfere." But I never imagined she would offer to cut ties with him so easily. In the past, no matter how much we fought, even when I threatened to break up with her, she never once considered cutting off contact with Peter. She stared at me, stunned. I'm making a huge concession here. If you don't believe me, I'll call Peter right now. With that, Nina pulled out her phone, dialed Peter's number, and stood in front of me with the phone on speaker. Peter's voice came through, full of delight. "Nina, miss me already?" His casual words made Nina's expression flash with embarrassment and panic. She cut him off quickly. "Okay, Peter, stop joking around." Peter clearly wasn't expecting that response. This must have been how they usually talked in private. He paused, and Nina continued, "Peter, I think we should talk less from now on. I have a boyfriend, after all." Peter sounded like he'd heard something unbelievable. "Nina, what? What did you say? Say that again." Nina took a deep breath. "I said we should talk less from now on. Got it?" Her voice was sharp now. A flicker of understanding crossed Peter's face. "I get it. It's that controlling boyfriend of yours, isn't it? He's jealous. Why do you even listen to him? The guy's so petty. He probably doesn't have any friends, so he's jealous of us." With every word Peter said, Nina's face grew darker. I couldn't even imagine how much trash they'd talked about me behind my back. Nina's voice was full of irritation. "That's enough. You need to know your place. Kevin is my boyfriend, and you have no right to say anything about him. Don't contact me again. Let's just leave it at that." With that, Nina hung up, ignoring Peter's protests. The phone kept ringing, but Nina didn't answer it. She just looked at me and said meekly, "See? I cut him off. From now on, we'll just live our own lives. I'll be good and wait for you to come home. I promise I'll be good." She held up 3 fingers as she said it, swearing an oath. I was stunned. I had planned to break up with her on the day I left, but now it looked like I had to do it sooner. I opened my mouth to speak. "But I don't think I need you to wait. We should break." Before I could finish, Nina covered my mouth with her hand. I looked at her. Her eyes were red, welling up with tears. I heard a soft dripping sound on the floor. It was Nina's tears. In the past, I would have been heartbroken, wiping her tears away. But this time I did nothing. I just watched. So, someone like Nina could cry over me? She looked into my eyes, her voice choked with sobs. "Kevin, let me go abroad with you." I knew what a huge decision this was for her. Her family, her friends, they were all here. Her career was taking off here, too. If she came with me, she would have to give all of that up. I turned my face away. I thought I wouldn't feel anything anymore. But in this moment, my heart still ached. It's just that, "I'm sorry, Nina," I managed to say, my voice strained. "Please don't do this." Nina threw her arms around me, her tears soaking through my shirt. "Kevin, I'm willing to give up everything I have here for you. I want you. Please take me with you." I'm a soft-hearted person, but this time, I pushed her away. "Nina, let's break up. We're from 2 different worlds. I'm tired now. I want to go back to my own world." The tears streamed down Nina's face. Her voice was hoarse. "No, I don't agree. As long as I don't agree, we're not broken up." I let out a self-deprecating laugh. "You should be happy. In this relationship, you never wanted to share your life with me, you never wanted me to be involved. Well, guess what? After today, no one will be." Nina grabbed my shoulders, pleading. I said I would. "From now on, I'll spend every holiday with you." I brushed her hands away, laughing bitterly. "Too bad we don't have a from now on." Nina was crying uncontrollably, clinging to me, refusing to break up, insisting she would go abroad with me. I couldn't fight her off, so I finally gave in. She hugged me tightly, filled with the joy of having me back. I bitterly savored this one last embrace. One morning, I quietly packed my bags. I opened the door one last time and looked at Nina. She was still fast asleep. I whispered goodbye, then took one last, long look at our home. This would probably be the last time I ever saw it. I was planning to settle down abroad for good. I took a taxi to the airport by myself and sat waiting to board. My phone started blowing up with messages from Nina. "Where are you? Where did you go? Why aren't you answering me?" The last one read, "I'm coming to the airport. Where are you? I need to see you." My eyes started to well up as I read the messages. I didn't reply. I put my phone away. I didn't have the courage to see Nina one last time. After all, she was the person I had once loved so deeply. The notifications kept pinging, but I ignored them. I sighed and walked toward the boarding gate. A voice called out my name. Kevin, what am I going to do without you? Nina's voice was hysterical, as if she had used every last bit of her strength. My back stiffened, but I didn't turn around. I kept walking into the boarding tunnel, then pulled out my phone and looked at the last message. Nina had written, Kevin, you lied to me. I gave a bitter smile and finally replied, You've lied to me so many times. I guess it was my turn. In the past, Nina had lied to me countless times, saying she was just out with friends, that Peter wasn't there, and every single time I found out the truth. I just remember how much my heart hurt every time I was deceived. I wonder if Nina feels the same way now. I landed in England. Someone from the dance company was there to pick me up. They set me up in an apartment. It wasn't big, but it had everything I needed. I never replied to Nina's messages. I blocked her number. After all, she wouldn't be a part of my future. There was no point in keeping her around. A year passed. I gradually got used to life in England and made a lot of new friends. My childhood dream had come true, but my adult dream hadn't. I had always dreamed of marrying Nina, of building a family with her. But that dream was destined to die. One day at work, a call came in from an unknown number, from my home country. I knew it was her, but I answered it anyway. On the other end of the line, she was crying so hard she could barely breathe. It wasn't 2 or 3 years, was it? She asked, her voice trembling. You lied to me again? I paused for a moment, then said calmly, That's right. I'm not coming back, Nina. Please don't call me again. I hung up the phone, severing the last connection between us for good. I looked out at the towering skyscrapers outside my window. From now on, Nina and I were 2 parallel lines, never destined to cross.